Hey, folks. All right. Looks like we're live again. It's been a few weeks. Glad to see you all back here again. I've been doing a lot of tinkering. Um, I took some time off over the holidays, but January has been just a lot of building. Really, really spent a lot of time pushing on Claude Code in the last couple of weeks, and I've learned a lot. And in this process, I've started to evolve my voice-driven blogging. So I actually I just did like a little walk and talk the other day, and I felt like the content was so fragmented that it wasn't like one cohesive thought or thing that we would pull into a blog post. And so I ran some analysis over it and eventually came up with what I think will be 5 different posts that I'll spread out throughout the next week. Things that I've learned, more conceptual, but things I've learned through working, really just hammering on Claude Code last couple of weeks, and also Claude. This is a lot of this is locally, but one of the concepts that I've been playing with is like how I like to start synchronously for now, and that could be it could be just planning, or it could be also like writing code and evaluating. But I want to, whatever it is, getting to the MVP of the plan or the MVP of the actual code, and then starting to move off asynchronously. And so I've been spending also a lot of time with Netlify agent runners. But what I want to do today is a bit of an experimentation and kind of a little bit of a look into how I spend a good portion of my time at Netlify. Is we're constantly shipping new things, and then I really like to take those things and beat them up and see, okay, are they, where are they amazing? And let's build some things, build some content around them, and use them every day. And where do I encounter rough edges along the way, and how do we get those things smoothed out? And one of the posts that I'm working on, which I actually maybe published this morning. In fact, let's take a look before we get into. Like, did I do? I don't remember what I did 2 hours ago. Yeah, I did. Okay, so brand new. You can't keep up with AI, and that's okay. And so this I had drafted not last week, earlier this week, but right after the holiday break. And the reason I did this was because I was gone for maybe like a week and a half, mostly with family, not doing much coding, or creating or building or whatever. And when I came back, it was like I was gone for a year, and so I was like, you know what, I need to put something together to partially, make me feel better. But I think that there's this thing I feel almost every day is, if I stop for a minute to do work, then I miss something. I mean, it's just the speed is just an order of magnitude faster than it was 2 years ago. So I put this post together. But one of the things that I have found in this process has been that I do like to. It takes a lot of effort to stand something up originally. You really got to think through the challenge, and then you can work with an agent to come up with that solution. And one of the things that was the theme when I came back from the holiday break was skills. It was like, skills are everywhere. Build your own skills. It's, who needs MCP servers? We've got skills. I think we need both at the moment. But anyways, so I want to take skills for a little run today. And so if you haven't come across it, there's this front-end design skill that Claude Code has put out. In fact, I wonder if I can go back. Yes, okay, so in the Claude Code repository down here, plugins, skills, front-end design, and you've got this skill. And I'm just looking at this raw content because eventually I'm going to feed this URL into one of our tests. Okay, this has been pretty amazing for me. It just feels like what I was able to do in terms of CSS work, design work with agents a year ago, but even 6 months ago, it was like, yes, it's every site looks the same. It takes a lot of effort to really make something stand out visually. That's not the case anymore. This skill is pretty amazing, and it's not even that big. And you can take it and you can adjust it for yourself. But I want to test this thing in 4 different ways. We're going to work with Claude Code locally, where this skill is already installed, and then we're gonna beat up Netlify a little bit. We're going to then use Claude Code, and we'll tell Claude where this skill is, where it lives on the web. We'll try that, and then we'll try the same prompt, but instead of pointing to this, we're gonna try some commands and see if they work. And I'm not sure that they will. And then I want to compare this to Gemini just for fun. So we're gonna do this 4 times, and I have essentially 4 different versions of the same. It's basically just, hey, here's a blank Astro site. Now, the concept of what we're going to build, I think, is a little bit fun and funny today. So I am in this group of folks who have season tickets to FC Cincinnati, which is the local MLS soccer club, or football club, if you prefer. And tonight we're getting together to divvy up the tickets for this season. And someone in the group had this really fun idea, which was there are a handful of new players to this club that nobody knows about. And I tend to not really go super deep into player research and news anyways. So I probably wouldn't have known. But someone's idea was, hey, everyone research one person and then bring your findings to the group tonight and tell what you learned about this person. I, of course, am lazy. And so the thing I did before this stream was I talked to Gemini, and Gemini 3 Pro or Pro 3, and asked it to do some research for me. And on this guy named Tom Barlow. So here's Tom Barlow. And eventually we came up with, all right, here's a handful of stats about Tom. And now what I want to do is I want to build, instead of building a presentation, I want to build a website. And I think another thing that would be really fun potentially in a future stream would be to build a presentation with code. Today, I think let's keep it simple and let's just build out a little landing page, because what I want the point to be is comparing these skills, and then I'll just take the best one to the gathering tonight. Okay, so what I need to do next is build a prompt. The same prompt we're going to create, and this will kind of give you a look into some of a bit about the approaches that I've taken recently in terms of prompting. It's far from perfect, but getting better. So here's what we'll do. Let's say, and it might look a little bit different locally than in the browser, but we're gonna let's see what happens. Okay, so we're gonna say let's think about this for a second. If there is I already have some code, so I'll show you that for a moment here. I've put these projects in 4 different directories, and the reason I did that was because it's going to be a little bit easier to deploy to individual Netlify sites, because 3 of these we're going to have to actually deploy to production. And if the local one is the best result, I may end up deploying that to production anyways, but the work on the other 3 is going to all happen on Netlify, so we're going to need to deploy those. Okay, so because what I have in each of these is a basic Astro site, and we're just going to keep it that way. So there. So I often tell Claude, and I have no Claude context files or any agent context files or anything like that. So let's say, just explain a little bit about what this is. This is an empty, or maybe like a blank Astro site. By the way, the autocomplete on the Markdown files can be really distracting. Like this is not what I want to say. This is a blank Astro site. I want you to build a, let's say, I often use superlatives just to really emphasize the level of design effort that I want to see. So I want you to build a world-class landing page that teaches, let's say, that helps FC Cincinnati fans learn about Tom Barlow. Tom, let's try to paragraph here. Tom is a new addition to the club for the upcoming 2026 season. And we'll just say, and many fans. Okay, actually that was good. Oh man, I have really been struggling with this camera lately. I am frozen, and then I look away and I stay there. I don't know what's going on. I think this is my gut says this is a computer thing. This computer is showing its age lately. Whoop. All right, hold up. Trying to refresh here. We're booting. Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. There we go. Okay. Don't freeze again. I've done some, I'm gonna, here's another thing that we're gonna do here is, I'm gonna also ask the agent to do some additional research as well. Look at this, all kinds of distractions today. Yeah, that was my mom on Slack telling my brother happy birthday. It's his birthday in 2 days. Okay. I've done some initial research on Tom. And this is where I will change this, probably depending on where it is, but let's write it as though we're in Netlify for now. So I've done some initial, on Tom, which you can, oh, actually, let's do that. Then I don't even have to attach it because it's, oh, no. Actually, no, I'm gonna work within each directory. So I'm gonna say which you can, which is attached. Okay. Which I've attached. Use this, but do some additional, that's all over the place, research. Well, Tom, his previous clubs, and FC Cincinnati. Create a compelling, polished word. Let's just really emphasize this. Okay. Use your front-end design skill to make the page visually appealing, easy to consume, and informative. I'm not going to be overly prescriptive here. That's part of the point. Is I do want some variation. We're going to probably get some additional levels of research. what I'm really testing for is the agent using the skill, and how well is it using the skill? And so for the design, design this in the, what am I going to say? Design this to match FC Cincinnati branding, colors, style, you know, and other styles. You know, it should feel like an official part of the FC Cincinnati website. Yeah, I love that. That's great. I think that's probably all I really want to do for now. Do some additional research on Thomas. Okay, great. So let's save that. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come over to my terminal next. Have it? Yes. Okay. Here's where I've been doing some. There we go. Okay, so I had Claude running, but what we're going to do now is we're going to change into the, what would I call it? Claude local. Once this starts running, I'll go do a little bit of work elsewhere. So we'll open up another tab here. Get out of there. All right, so now we're going to run Claude within just the local project, and we'll preview this a little bit later. So here's this, and what we're going to do then is we need to, in this case, I can point to the file because we're local, which you can find in am I in the right? I'm in the right direct. Yeah, I'm in the right directory. Docs. Tom Barlow bio. Is that me? Yeah. All right. Super simple. Not much to this. Let's see what happens. You know what? Actually, one other thing. You know, what I was thinking was I would add the URL of the FC Cincinnati website. The reality is, let's make Claude do the work. It should be able to find that. Okay. Now let's let that thing cook. I'm gonna keep it up here because it's probably gonna ask me a bunch of questions. I'm still trying to figure out how to add the right level of permission so I'm not answering the same questions at the beginning of every project. But today, I still find myself answering the same questions at the beginning of every project. There's probably a few that are in my global configuration, but not these. Okay. Now, let's, whoops. I'm at the root here. Okay, let's try. I think that, I mean, we're going to do them all, so it doesn't really matter. GitHub remote. And then what I can do here is, so you can use the netlify command, CLI, which I have downloaded, but you can also just do NTL. And I'm going to do NTL, so netlify deploy, and then prod. And if this project, so now I'm in, you can see that I am in this, right down here. Yes, I'm in Claude remote, or GitHub remote. All right. So I'm in this separate project. I'm running netlify deploy prod. This has never been deployed or even pushed to GitHub or anything. And so what it should do is it should ask me if I want to create a new site. Yes. Do I want to link or create a new project? I want to create a new project. I'm going to go find my team, and we're going to say, let's just actually, do I want to, how do I want to name it? Naming is so hard. Why can't I choose? Okay, we'll just do Tom. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, right? We'll be verbose here. All right, ran into a project here. I'd wonder. Might need to relink some things with node modules because it's trying to build. Yeah, so we're gonna remove node modules here, and then let's see if I can install. No, I'm still seeing the same thing. Oh, there's no package.json file. Why the heck is that? Interesting. It didn't fully duplicate everything. So let's. Yeah, I mean, what we can do is we can take. Oh, come on. We can take. Let's copy those. Paste. Let's see if that works. I guess duplicate did not do the trick first time around. Okay. All right, meanwhile, this is rolling. It's already done? Smokes. You know what? Wow. Oh, it did some research. Okay. We're just going for the one shot and see what happens here. It looks like we're still loading here. What the heck is going on? All right, I got an idea. Yeah, it's not pasting, right? We're gonna quit. Yep. Okay. So now we're in. Okay, oh man, my computer is struggling. All right, we're gonna need start over. Let's see what happens here. Woof. Come on. Holy smokes, we're moving slow. Okay, I know you can't see all of that because my face is in the way. Let's do this. We're gonna just kill it. Shoot, you know what? Yes, fine. I've got ideas. If this is gonna work. Okay, we're struggling. But I do have ideas. Okay, there we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm also just gonna look at what I got here. Because now this Claude local directory has changed because we've been running this in Claude local. That's where Claude was running. So what I actually have to do now is make my Claude GitHub remote directory And then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to run. I'm going to have to go through the same process I did to create these projects in the first place. Okay, so let's skip that for now so we can move fast. So we should just copy that right away. And then when we go into this, I'm in there already. Yep. So now we're going to do npx astro, and we're going to add netlify and react. Just so I'm doing that to seed it so build succeeds, and if the agent wants to use React, then it's available. And that's I think, you know, that was kind of the point here, is like other than this is Astro, I didn't say anything about the tech. It's really weird. Why am I all of a sudden struggling? This is what happens, right? You know what? Maybe I need to install first. I bet that's it. Okay. Are you itching to see what got created over here? Because I am. I suppose the benefit of this is if it actually works, and if the copying actually works this time, I only have to install once, and then we can copy from local files. Assuming it works. Come on, come on. We are okay. We're moving at a snail's pace today. Let's see if we can test the rest of this in about 20 minutes. Oh, okay, great. Okay. All right. So we're good there, and then let's see if we can add these things now. We're gonna add netlify and react. Yeehaw. Install the dependencies, and next it should ask me if I want to put them, if I want to adjust the Astro configuration, which I of course do. The other thing I'm gonna do up here before it gets lost is make sure that my names were the same. So let's copy that, and let's copy that. Yeah, internet must be able to be, I mean, I guess taking up a lot of space by streaming, which is fair. You know what I haven't said yet while we're waiting on the internets is, what do I expect to happen? So let's hold that thought, because we'll end up doing some more waiting, because I do have a hypothesis before we're gonna look at anything. Great. So I don't want to deploy. I don't want to do anything yet. I'm going to come back to deploy. What I want to do first is I'm going to back out for just a sec, and I'm going to copy Claude GitHub remote to Gemini GitHub remote. Let's do that. And then while that's working, what the heck? Let's really bang on this machine. Seems like your shell is taking a while to start. No shit, Warp. Okay, it's gonna take a minute. A lot of dependencies. All right, while we're waiting. All right, here's what I think. I think we're going to see 4 completely different sites, first off. And the reason I think that is because I did not add very much detail into my into my initial prompt, and just told Claude, I'm just telling Claude and Gemini to go build. If I were really wanting to, something that I was really taking seriously, that I was going to stand up to production, well, first of all, I would only do that once, right? And so if I took a more a looser approach like this, then I could iterate through that process. But typically what I usually have been doing lately is when I'm totally greenfield and I'm starting from scratch, and uh, I don't want to spend all this time, all these tokens on building things that we're going to throw away, because it still costs something. And I froze again. Holy smokes, I cannot get a win today. So I'll keep talking while I reboot that camera again. So I would work through that plan, and you can switch over here. I don't know if you've tested with this or not, but you can do on my machine, it's tab, or it's shift tab. I think we're so slow right now because of this copying and the streaming and all that. And it turns plan mode on, and then we can go back into either ask me or accept edits. And so what I'll typically do is I will work through that planning process, and I'll end up in a place where I have a lot more detail. And and then if you take the output of that plan and you compare that with different models, you're not going to get exactly the same thing, but you might be somewhere close. So that's one reason. We were very broad. And so we left a lot of room for interpretation in terms of design. We also left a lot of room for interpretation in terms of content, because we gave it some initial research, but we didn't say only use that. We said, go do more research, go research the branding, go research Tom at a much deeper level. One thing I meant to do was say something like, make sure you include photographs, because I think that would really liven it up. We're too far in now. I might end up doing that before I show up to this gathering this evening. But anyways, all right. We finally have these things copied. So here we go. Let's go into Claude, GitHub Remote, and let's try this again. Now it's going to try to build, but everything's been installed. We should have all these pieces in place. There's one difference in this first project on the left, the Claude local. I had removed a couple files, but it shouldn't make a huge difference. All right, we're going to create and configure a new project. We're going to try this again. Boop. And we're saying Tom Barlow, Claude, GitHub Remote. There we go. Did I not just type that? Oh, we're stuck here. All right, I should be mostly up to date here. And I think that is a goofy fluke. I've not seen that before, even on this version of the CLI. Computer has a mind of its own at the moment, and all I'm trying to do is we haven't even gotten to the run yet. Okay, there we go. Let's try. It's the same thing. It doesn't really matter at Netlify or NTL. All right. Tom Barlow, Claude, GitHub Remote. Oh, you know what? You got to read. It already exists. All right. Oh, look. Sneak peek. We got other stuff to do. We'll come back to it. It created the project, but it couldn't create the deploy. So we have this project already. And I killed the directory, so we don't have the, you know what? I'm going to teach you a fun little thing about Netlify here. You can link. I'm going to my project configuration. We're going to link it, and then we don't have to worry about this. So let me get out of here. We're going to say Netlify link. Whoa, Netlify link. Okay, and now we can deploy. Oh, this this will stop working in the next major. Oh, no, not NPM. Holy smokes. I've had enough coffee. This should not be the problem. All right, we're going to let that run. We're going to keep going. Let's move into another directory, and we're going to do the Claude / command. And then here, this should work fine because we haven't tried to create anything here yet. Or with the name that would match our style in this case. Tom Barlow, and now this is called Claude. I already forget what Claude / command. All right, and while that's going, we're going to do this again. Because why not slow everything down? Okay. No. Here we're installing extensions. By the way, this was an extension I created through some tinkering over the last couple of weeks. I want to show you all that on a future stream. It's really fun. It's super early in the process, but I'm working on like basically an agent workflow builder. I think is pretty cool. All right, we'll do the same thing over here. These are all fighting for space and bandwidth and computing power, computing resources. I don't know. I just saying these words. I don't know what they actually mean. I mean, detail or something. All right. We're working hard. We're still at installing extensions here. This has actually gotten to build, which is interesting because I didn't make it there up here yet. And this one is still waiting on that first step. Okay, here we go. In theory, this eventually gets faster. All right, now this is Tom Barlow, Gemini, GitHub remote. Do your thing. Okay, this, can I move this? Yeah. I'm going to show you, this is done. So this middle one is done. And when we finish, we get a link to the logs. We also get this production URL. So let's take a look there. Copy that. And we should see, okay, basic site, wonderful. And if I come back to my Netlify project, yeah, apologies again. This machine is on the struggle bus today. We don't need to do anything else with this. We're done. These are wrapping up too. I'll kill that. This is almost done. This is done. Fantastic. All right, we have everything where we need it to kind of kick these things off again. So great. Now if I refresh this page, we should see those 3 projects. And they all look the same. We got these screenshots. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Fantastic. Let's move right into this. Okay, here we go. Let's go grab our prompt again. And so this one, okay, this one is the Claude / command. And so for this, what we're going to do is first we want to attach our files. So we're going to go find bio. It says, this is a blank Astro site. I want you to build a world-class blah, blah, blah. And we've attached the research. Great. What we haven't told it in this case is where is the front-end design skill? And locally, I've installed the skill globally. So when I deploy this site to Netlify, it doesn't know about my front-end design, the front-end design skill that I have deployed, that I have pulled on my machine, and they're just markdown files. So it doesn't know about the front end. So if we just said, you know, use your front-end design skill, as we do here, I changed it to use the front-end design skill. It's not going to know what to do. It's just going to, it's either going to ignore that or it's going to interpret that as do a good job. And then it's going to fall back to its design defaults. What I want to try here is not tell it about the front-end design skill, but to put in here the slash commands that I would run locally in Claude Code. Now, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think it's going to work. I think this is the one that's going to end up looking the worst because it's not going to install the front-end design skill. But I want to see what happens anyway. So what I did was I found Boris's, I couldn't find the tweet for some reason. I don't know why, but I found this. So you would run these as individual commands, right? So we're just going to put them in here and see what happens. And then I'm really curious to read the output. All right, so, and anyways, I wasn't explaining every single step of the way here, but I'm now in Netlify, and in this project I just deployed for the Claude slash command one. And this is essentially the unique part of this particular prompt. So, and we've attached the bio. Let's run the task and see what happens. Okay. Oh, we failed already? I think I need to shoot. I forgot a key component. We need to move this into every one of the directories. I'm just holding Option and dragging down. They all need this netlify.toml file. And the only reason it worked is because we've got a static page. Oh, this is so annoying because now I need to, it's not Netlify's fault, it's my fault. But now I need to do this all again. So let's try again. Ah! Claude, what was it called? You know what? Let's kill this process over here because we're not going to do anything else with it. Should at least save us something, but let's see. Claude slash command, right? Because this one is the GitHub remote. Oh, good. That went way faster this time. So this is Claude GitHub remote. So we want Claude slash command. So we're going to end up having to wait for that one. So the other Claude one is done, which is Claude GitHub remote. Okay, so let's attach our bio here. And then prompt. I think it's probably more natural to say the front-end design skill can be found at, we'll copy this URL. And then I'm going to copy this because this is the exact same thing we're going to pass over to the Gemini run. In hindsight, I didn't need three distinct directories. I could have had one deploy and run the agents totally different. I have no idea what I'm thinking. Oh, the Claude, wait. Should have finished. Yep. Okay, let's take a look at this. If we get one that works, we can take the same approach and just run multiple agent runs on the same project. It seemed like it'd be easier to have unique names, but it also costs credits because that's multiple production deploys that we didn't technically need to do. We got the netlify.toml in here, so that's good. But actually, yeah, so that's fine. All right, let's go back to this. It's really weird. No, it's failing right away. No logs available. I wonder why it's looking for this. I think this is unique to what I'm doing for some reason. Yeah, that's not in there. It's not in any of these. So Claude GitHub remote. It should be linked there. Yep. Oh. Okay. We got an idea. Let's do some live debugging and see what happens. Let's way simplify this. All right. So we got, we're going to take this first one. And yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this one, called /command. And we're gonna just rename this. We're gonna just call this Tom Barlow. And this is gonna be our main project. And then we're gonna come over to these and delete them. All right, this one too. Okay, so now we have tombarlow.netlify.app. This came from the /command one, and so that should be already hooked up. So here's what we'll do. Let's Let's kill both of these. We don't need them anymore. Yeah, that needs to, okay. Now, we're gonna remove Gemini 1. We're gonna remove Claude. GitHub remote when that's done. And then we're gonna rename come on. I'm super frustrated about the speed of this machine right now. We're gonna move /command to blank Astro project. There we go. All right, now we're gonna move into blank Astro project, just so we're like, whatever. This is a blank Astro project. This is the thing I'm going to deploy. And now what we know is here's what I'm gonna do here. This is a little bit of like insider knowledge, troubleshooting, because I play with this shit all the time. We're still working on removing those things, but we now have blank Astro project here. This file is what needs to stick around because this links us to our existing project. Everything else can go. And I think what happened is that it must have been that this netlify.toml got generated before the project had this netlify.toml. And so what I think happened is there's this publish command and maybe the base directory too, which I don't know why this gets created in this way. It might have been because we were missing that netlify.toml file. But this is why I believe it was the base, which is why we were running into a problem, because this path is not going to exist on the file system in production. If I'm talking over your head there, you can totally ignore me. It's not super important. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm resetting Netlify and Astro, all these with these files that we don't track, and just keeping state, which links our local project to the production project. And we can tell that because you can run Netlify status. And in a world where we don't have to wait a minute for every little command to run, you would get some feedback right away. Again, this is a computer issue, not a software issue as far as I can tell. Okay, so it gives me the information about this site, and now we see that we're app.netlify.com/tombarlow, tombarlow.netlify.app. Great. So we're linked to it. That's what that tells us. So now we can run a deploy. And what I want to see here is do we still generate that netlify.toml file locally by running through this process? So shouldn't have to answer any questions. We should just run through the build again and then deploy it while we wait up to a year for a directory to get deleted. Okay. So cool. We just have these two now. All right. And then we're just running this one, so hopefully this is going to go a lot faster for us this time around. I'm going to stay on a little bit because I want to see this through. The setup is wonky, part performance, part Friday morning brain, I guess. I don't know. That's the end of the coffee. So no more help. All right. I want to peek at the other one, but I want to make sure this works. Oh, right. So we're installing these extensions locally to be part of the build. that's why the first one tends to take a long time, even if you don't have like a ton of even if the machine is fast. Like this first build, because I cleared out the netlify directory. You see we're populating this plugins directory, so we got this whole other list of packages that we need to download. And that's what happens this first time when you see installing extensions. And I don't know if we have a history here, but yeah, so when you would still see it, right, installing and loading, but it's going to go really fast. It's like, it's the difference between running npm install in a brand new project and running npm install when there's nothing new to install. It still takes a second, but just a second, not a minute or two or more, when there are a lot of dependencies, which there are in these 3 packages. So while that's running, I want to keep an eye on it because I want to create the runs as, oh, here we go. Okay. I want to create the runs as fast as possible because they're gonna have to run in the background anyway. So I want to create them before we start to look at this thing locally. All right. So yeah, look at this. So we, as far as I can tell here, we're already, yeah, we've already built, we're deploying, and there's no netlify.toml. Oh, there is. Ah, shoot. Okay. Happens at the end. Ah. Well, let's see. So, you know, it's going to work in production for sure. Here's the / command one. Let's try it again. Link our file. We're going to fail right away. Yeah. It's weird that this is even happening. So let's, it's very possible, again, this has, something to do with how I have organized this project. Okay. Let's try something else. That's what this is all about, right? Trying and failing, trying and failing. This is how we learn. Okay. I'm going to go let's move the project here. Now there's no Git, right? There's no Git repository. We're outside of a monorepo context. So I'm going to try a couple things here just to see if this issue persists or not. The first thing I can try is, so we should be ignoring these things, but let's we're not tracking anything anyway, so this is fine. Let's delete this file. Okay. And then let's see if it looks any different as a result of this. Now we've got those extensions installed, so everything else should go a lot faster this time. Yeah, and in hindsight, should have just deployed. I mean, we wouldn't have known actually, because I would have still run into the issue even if I deployed ahead of time, because we're not seeing the issue until we're trying to run something. So we still have this. Aha. Okay. So that seems fine because that we shouldn't be messing with that publish directory, and our base is different. I have a sneaking suspicion this is related to, I had a directory nested inside of the Git, because there was a repository, right? I had initialized a repository in the other project. So it was like a monorepo setup, and we needed a base path. And now we don't need that. So in theory here, this is still working. Yes, great. And now, let's just to be sure, we're going to archive both of these. Okay. All right, and now we're gonna run our new, all right, so here's our slash command. Let's do it. Let's make it work this time. I feel good about it. If we don't fail right away. Yeah, okay. I mean, even if we got to configuring the environment, we're further than we were before. All right, progress. It took a long time to get here. Now, we can, okay, so let's recap. I have now wiped away the individual projects. I was doing a bunch of really stupid stuff to try to make it easier to understand, and I think I complicated the whole thing. So we just have a blank Astro project. All this thing is in production is this empty site. We're gonna run 3 different agent runs and compare the results across them. And they're really similar prompts, but there's a key difference in each one. So the first one uses these 2 slash commands, and that's what's unique here. And we're gonna see if that's going to actually do anything. And we won't really know, but we might have a sneaking suspicion if like the output from this particular command sucks way more than the other ones. Okay, and then back to my prompt is in the other, okay, over here. And this is a nice trick if you're working on the command line. Just copies to my keyboard, clipboard. All right, and so we're back to this, right? All right, now we say the front end design skill can be found at, and then we'll go back over here. I do have clipboard history, but I'm just trying to show you, so you see every step of the way. Okay, and I'm gonna copy this because this is the so the difference between this one and the one we've already done is the slash command versus the URL and in how we're gonna try to retrieve the agent. Now the difference between this second one and the next one I'm gonna run is that one is Claude and one is Gemini. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. And that's just kind of out of interest. All right, we're gonna let those run. And while those run, we can finally look at the local project. So let's do it. We should be installed already. And then we're gonna run our development environment and we'll have site number 1 ready to go. 4324. That's really wild. What is running on? This is just, here's another thing. The reason I like Warp is I usually I'm trying to write fewer and fewer commands on the command line. when I know them and when I just need to move around or move things around, it's faster than anything else. But usually the port for Astro is 4321. I was working on another project earlier today, so it might be that. It's going to tell me what it's going to run. And then we can just copy this because I'm curious. So there's an active browser session there. Okay. What? I don't need this anymore. What I want to do is LSOF, right? And then we have these. I do not know where those are coming from. Oh, I do. Those are hanging from the Claude run. I wonder if we still have the history here. Yeah, look at this. It's gonna run npm run dev in the background, and I think I saw it. It did it twice. Holy shit! It did it 3 times. So that could definitely be part of the problem. And so I can say kill the process on 4323, and then we can do the same thing 4322. Yeah. Whoa, that looks right. And so you can just take this, right? We can. And even if I am running one there, I don't care if I kill it right now. I had a different project in progress. All right, and it's kind of working fast and not saying everything. The thing that threw me off is that Astro is always working on 4321. And so if it's 4324, it goes incrementally up when it finds a busy port. And so it gave me an indication like 3 different Astro dev servers are running on this machine. And I thought maybe one of them should be running. But alas, here we go. And this was running right on 4321. So that was bizarre. But anyways, so this is cool. This looks great. By the way, a lot of you probably don't know FC Cincinnati, whether it's because you don't know soccer or MLS or whatever. Relatively new. Just hit the 10-year anniversary, I think, right? So you can see the branding here. Very orange, very blue. Some gradients to kind of that darker blue, and using the white for contrast. And this is interesting. Okay, so we got this nice little badge up here. I really like this text. Oh, and the nice touch of the highlighting. I mean, that's a little goofy where it's stacked on top, but really, a nice touch to highlight in orange background. So it's everywhere, and it turns the text white. So we got birthday, we've got the contract information. See, I think this is where we would want to fill in a photograph here, I think. Explorer's journey, and it zooms us down. Ooh, look at that. There's nice little highlighting here. We don't, because we can't see the orange because it's orange on orange. This is awesome. And so scroll this down here. It shows where we went to school, and with some stats as well. This looks really nice. I mean, honestly, this is pretty clean. And we've got the highlighting the FC Cincinnati move here. Holy smokes. Like the grid doesn't look very good. This seems like this probably, it's really grainy. It probably should have been repeated. And then this, God, this stinks of like default styles. I hate this stuff. I hate it so much. Like at least it's not popping out at me. But yeah, the whole like this, if you see a card like this, every other site created with an AI agent is going to have a card like this. You got to be a little bit more creative with these card styles. Just like the really rounded corners, and overly rounded, everything left aligned, including the icon. this would have looked better if it were more of like a smaller grid. And so if, you know, if I were really wanting to run with this thing, that's what I would do. I'd be like, you know, let's iterate on the card styles a little bit. Let's iterate on the background of this section. And I may do it if this ends up being the best one, because in a couple more runs, I think I could get there pretty well. I think things like, you know, I didn't say anything about it, but there's no FC Cincinnati logo, which I think would have been a nice touch. I think we could have, the use of photography could have helped, even though he's not going to be in a FC Cincinnati jersey necessarily, or kit, I think we call them. I should use soccer or football terms. You know, this background texture is a little bit goofy. Why the hell is there an icon there? This nice little touch at the bottom, built for the Queen City faithful. That's fan-made tribute page. This is, I mean, just I will say there are some really, really nice touches on this. I think for a first shot with that like really tiny prompt, this is pretty incredible. What I would do, I'm not going to do it because I've been streaming for a long time, and I clearly need some more coffee today. What I tend to do is like, I will use Whisperflow, which is a great app if you haven't used it, and dictate one particular area. So it might be like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you about the hero section, and then kind of just loosely say what I like and what I don't like, and then run that. And then while that code is running, I will start recording the next section or next few sections, and you know, give it about a minute or whatever. And once I hit that point, stop, put that in the queue, and then just kind of like, you know, little snippets. So the agent always has something to do, and I always have something to do. And by the time I got to the end of the page, I would be able to go back up. And you could do that process like 2 or 3 times. And I think that would be, that's what keeps me very focused and deep into the project, versus like, I'm going to go answer a Slack message and then come back, because there's always something to do synchronously with these first few minutes or hours of a project, depending on how complex the thing is. All right. So that's one. We should probably be wrapping up. Yeah, and the other thing I'll say is that some agent runs, I've noticed, they're going to take longer than running Claude Code is locally. They're built to be asynchronous. It's not a big deal. It's just that it's also spinning up an environment. It's setting different contexts. That brings a lot more value than working locally. But they have to set up that preview environment and everything like that. So it adds a little bit of time. But if you have some really straightforward prompting and focus, then that time can get cut down to a minute or 2, which is amazing. And yeah, so we're wrapping up between like 8 and 10 minutes here, because we've given a lot of work to do with very little direction. All right, I want to go here and let's just make sure. So we've got the same, title for all of them. In fact, that kind of gives me an idea here if I want to compare 2 runs to one another. I think it'd be really cool if we could rename the agent run title, which is probably something we could add here. Okay. So let's read the result before we unveil it. We built a world-class landing page for FC Cincinnati fans. Okay. So it knew what it was supposed to do. Even did some like SEO optimizing. Okay. Custom animations, including fade in, slide in, and hover effects. That smells like default agent behavior. Oh yeah, this is the other thing. Let's go back to my original thing. Are we responsive? It is. Cool. That looks awesome on mobile. I love that. Okay, back over here. Let's see. Ooh, not horribly different. Interesting that we have a navigation up here that I will say, let's do a quick scroll. Okay. There are a couple things here that I think are really fascinating. And I think there are a few things that I expected. In fact, I want to go back real quick and look at I want to look at the prompt. Not the prompt, the bio. So let's do this. It's going to be easier to read this way. Okay. I'm just looking at like where did the research come from? All right, so we've got this, the Noonan connection. Pat Noonan is the coach. One thing I think is, okay, so this is interesting because the Noonan connection thing, I was like, that's a weird touch. The FCC, it's like it pulled that from the research. Both of them had welcome to the orange and blue. Isn't that interesting? Welcome to the orange and blue, Tom. And like, how did it get there? It's the same on both. So the sentence is a little bit different, but that's fascinating. That's fascinating. And then meanwhile, this section is great. This is like, this is a cool little like story. I mean, we still have the, you know, the quote in a different style. Okay, so I think this did a really, really good job of research. I think it's fascinating how similar the content is. I am very suspicious that whether or not the skill actually got installed. And if what we can do is we can look at the logs. It needs to understand and we didn't provide a Claude, Claude.md for that. So it's kind of like, it's reading here, it's reading about the project, it's trying to learn about the project. All right, it's finding all the files, it's reading the files, reading more files, reading more files, reading more files. Yep, it reads the bio there. Okay, now it understands the project. Reads a few more files. It does some, now let me do additional research. Okay. I've been on so long, my do not disturb went away. Now we've done the research. Yep, so I don't see anything in here. Those are the only two mentions of front-end design. Now that doesn't mean the other ones will have that, but this just suggests that we probably didn't reference that skill appropriately. We probably need the URL or needed to put it in the project. And that's another thing that I could have tested as well, is if I have that file in the project and it's committed to the project, could we use that? And I would guess yes. We're not gonna, I might have some time to do that, but let's come back here first. This one now is Claude, right? Yep, Claude. And yeah, very, very similar overview here. Look at this. The first task is to fetch the front-end design skill. So it read through the prompt, put together a plan, and it's going to fetch the front-end design skill, research the the player and then research the branding. Yeah, that is amazing. That's what we wanted to see. That's what we wanted to see. It gets the front end design skill. It did not do that on the first one. We know that now. While we're waiting, while we're checking this out, let's do it. Let's take this. Where do I put them? Where to put? Let's ask in here. Add the front end design skill found at whoa. I did into this project. Let's just say skill. And I want to see where it puts it. This we should have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to deploy again, and we're going to see if we use that skill in the right way. Okay, come on. Is I probably reading it to see that it's actually a skill, that it's actually, and it's gonna put it in skills. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm only gonna test it with Claude. And I suspect we'll have to wait a while also. Going to put it in Claude skills. What I don't know is if it's actually going to move all of this code up. So you can see it's probably in, yep, it's in Claude. What we can just kind of like look and see, we can just do the test and see like, does it actually pick up the skill or not? So it's in there. Yeah. All right. So let's deploy again and let's see what happens. But that's not going to affect the runs that have already happened. Okay. So what does this look like? Oh, by the way, these changed the favicon, which is interesting, but it's not the same as the FC Cincinnati site. So again, it's like, okay, so this is interesting. And again, we have a navigation, which is probably not necessary on this site. We didn't use the proper branding, which is interesting also. But the style is, you see, like in that, look at the touch of the number in the background. That's pretty nice compared to like, yeah, that looks like a Bolt site. No hate towards Bolt. It's like, it looks like a default agent site. All right, are we done deploying? Yeah. So let's basically run this one again on a new run. But the difference is we're not going to tell it where to get the skill. And then we'll come back and test that. But it's interesting. So this one is quite a bit more text heavy. It's, again, got the branding right, but I think that's probably the easy part. I like the heading style here. I like the kind of like the sub header badge style. At least a little bit of a different card. I mean, these are interesting. This is a cool section, career statistics. Playing so look at these cards. These do not look like default AI agent cards. They don't. They're structured in a similar way, but the hover effect is very different. The The icon is a little bit different. The location is the same. They're sharp. We have sharp corners in this one. Now we have diamonds in the timeline, and the timeline is going in the opposite direction. They're kind of coming into view. That looks nice. Here's some different quotes, which is really cool. Welcome to the orange and blue. Amazing. It happened again. Wow, that's cool. Okay. Then let's go back and look at our, okay. Here is the Gemini one. Successfully built a world-class landing page. All right, nothing else in there. Let's look at the logs. This did not give us a task list ahead of time. And I have not used Gemini for code very much, so I'm not sure exactly what to expect. I see some tool calls and searching, which figured, Gemini is going to work a little bit differently than, because it's a Google product compared to Claude. We're doing a lot of reading. It's interesting to me that we don't have a lot of information. Oh, look at this. What the hell? It's installing a new Astro project. This is weird. And then it adds Tailwind. It's like creating a whole new project. It's got all these .astro files, which shouldn't be committed. It's deleted Astro files, which also wouldn't be committed. That's a package.json. It's okay. So Gemini totally fucked up. But where did we land? Oh my God. Yeah, so Gemini also totally ignored the skill, which is fair. It was an Anthropic concept. I think it's getting picked up by skills, getting picked up by more. But yeah, okay. This is the only one to have an actual like bright white background here. No orange and blue. No welcome to the orange and blue, Tom. So this one's, look how bad that gradient is. This site is, okay, interesting. This site, in my opinion, I was going to say objectively, but we'll say subjectively, is the worst by far. So here's how I'm going to rank them. I actually think that what I would do, if I was going, so I've got 4 examples. I will soon have a 5th example. And what I want to take to the party tonight is an iteration. We'll see what happens with the 5th one, but what I would do is I would take, where's this one? I think a combination between this, which is big and bold and looks great, but it's round, but it maintains those rounded corners. And this, which is not quite bold enough, but it's sleek. And so I think like taking the sleekness of this and combining it with the boldness of this one feels like it would create something really powerful. So I will probably like stay local and because that's what I've got. Well, because I haven't deployed to the, okay, say this in the right way. The deployed site doesn't know anything about this one and it can't find it unless I give it a screenshot, which would be an option. But anyways, so I think that like combining the two of them, I'll just walk through it and it wouldn't matter if I did it locally or if I deploy first and use an agent runner. Don't really need the heading or the navigation or anything like that. And then combine those two and basically kind of talk through it. Be like, all right, here's the local one is what we'll call design A. this other one we'll call design B. And let's build a combination of them. Let's add some imagery. Let's pull in the actual FCC logo, and then kind of iterate from there. Now we're still running, and we're going to be running for 5 minutes, but or at least another 2, let's say. But we can look at the logs, and if I hang around long enough, hopefully we'll finish. But it says to-dos have been modified successfully. That's happening somewhere invisible to me. All right, it's going to look through all the files again. Yeah, and it's analyzing this is a pre-built Astro site, which Gemini did not notice previously. Okay, it does the research. I don't see any mention of the skill and that it's found skill. I see it writing a lot of content. Yeah, and it's not surfacing the to-do list here, which I think would be really nice. And I don't know if that's something that I don't know how much control we have over that at Netlify, but something that I'm curious to look into. All right, so now we've got some results, and we're gonna update the task list again. It sounds like it's about done, which is cool. I just don't see anything on front end or design. Nothing. I don't see anything about skill. No. So that doesn't seem to have worked. Now, it could also be because that file was not pushed up when I deployed. And that's all we're really going to have. So we can check that, and it's done. If I look at my latest deploy, oh, these are previews from the agent runs. Here's the latest one. We can download it, and then let's look at the files. Yeah, so it didn't push that Claude file up there. So this makes sense, actually, which means that this is probably going to end up on the same quality level as the second one, like probably better than Gemini. Let's compare it to, it would be compared to not that one, but this one. So remember this one, it was kind of like using a lot of those agent type of defaults. Looks like a lot of the sites that would be created with a tool like Bolt, where people don't, give it a lot of, that it's going to take a lot of specific design instruction. All right, really stretching the text out here. Yeah, a lot of similar, actually some similarities to the Gemini one. This looks pretty nice, actually. I think like the sideways stripe could be something that I might steal. So learned a lot in this process. And this is the kind of stuff that I really like to do, because I come away with this and I have a few ideas of things that I can work with the team on to get worked into agent runners to try to improve them a bit. Like, how do we work with skills? And it's like everything kind of like peels the layers of the onion back, and then I end up with another question. And so I'm left with, a lot of questions and a lot of ideas and what I want to experiment with. Like here, for example, I tend to work using a Git workflow, and I wonder, okay, well, now if I introduce Git into this process, will the agent runners respect the skill? On the other hand, I want skills to be available easily for anybody, regardless of whether or not they're relying or using a Git workflow or not. And so I think these are really helpful because we're like, okay, cool. We know slash commands aren't working. Most people aren't going to deploy from their local site, but it also then, so if we have templates or, other mechanisms and ways of creating new sites using agents, how do we also make sure that those skills come along as well? So a lot to really think through here, and for me to bring back to the team, and we can ideate and see like what should we add from there. So probably what I'll end up doing next is playing with that Git flow and seeing, hey, can I actually ship a design skill alongside it? But this has been really interesting. The designs varied in the way I was really hoping for. I think this was a fun science experiment because we went into it with a hypothesis and came out without, with validating that if the agent runners can find the skill, they're going to be as successful as as working locally. Two is that the agent runners can actually find skills and use skills. The only way we were able to show it today was by linking to an external file. But then in theory, as long as we make the skill discoverable by Claude, it's going to use it. At least, that's what I think we found and what we could test next. We also found that the difference between Claude having the skill and Claude not having the skill is massive, night and day in terms of quality of design. We also found that Gemini could not figure out what the hell it was working with. It did not know it was working with a built Astro site. It rebuilt everything from scratch. And also when explicitly given the skill, it didn't use it. Again, skills are an anthropic concept. I had very low hopes that Gemini would do it, but I thought it would. But it did not. And so we end up in a place where, oddly enough, I look at these and I think that probably, I would say that Gemini pretty significantly worse. The worst of the five by a long shot. But the two, this one and this one, the two Claude Code runs that didn't use the design skill were not amazing either. But that's it for now. Hope you all out there have a lovely weekend, and happy to throw more ideas my way. I thought this was a really fun session for me because it wasn't like we hit a lot of bumps early on, but it's like, hey, here's this thing I want to test within the context of working on a project. So I think that was a lot of fun. Got tripped up in some ways that I didn't expect, but that's what this is all about. So I hope you all learned something from this, found some inspiration, and throw that right back at me. I am always taking requests for where we should spend time and focus these sessions.